that thing. And service providers who are sort of causing a lot of frustration and anger and taking on people's concerns. Mental health was really one of the focus things that kept coming up in our group. So the stress and anxiety, it was even brought up that people might be more suicidal and very severely impacted in terms of their mental health. A lot of people with adverse mental health effects have been getting exemptions, but these do take sort of 6 to 8 weeks. And in the meantime, when you don't know if the exemption's coming or not, it can be very stressful. People feel labelled and that they are being discriminated against. And some instances it could be voluntary to people who need help or to people who have recognised problems with drugs and alcohol. Using the card leads to judgment. There's a lot of stigma around saying that everybody on welfare has drug and alcohol problems, which we sort of know logically not to be true, but this is what's happening with people feeling. The consultation process was not good enough, and people weren't aware of the impacts until it was put upon them, and lots of people didn't know that they were going to be on the card until they actually got it in the mail. Some people said it was a lot easier to budget cash, so once they've got their whole centrelink payment in cash, they could sort of spread it out and deal with it. And a lot of people, that's sort of a lot of people with not maybe lots of financial literacy, they found it much easier to spread out their cash rather than having some cash. There was an issue where vision impaired blind people that who some of them got exemptions now, but they used to feel the notes and what they were handing over and what change they were getting back as well. The issue of staying in the card even if you move away. So if it was introduced to the Kalgoorlie region to combat drug and alcohol problems, and then you leave the Kalgoorlie region, you're still on the card, and that as well as not being able to get service providers in other towns on the card. Yeah, and other countries, yeah. During the consultation process, people felt that people who were going to be on the card had welfare couldn't speak up, or maybe because of anxiety reasons, or who would refuse to come and attend consultation meetings. Some people have had lots of rent payments being behind because of the discrepancy between when the centrelink payment goes in and when the indue payment goes in.
For example, they say it's going to be 2 hours and 6 hours later, so they
financial pressure, the fact that you don't have credit cards, you can't hire a car, and sometimes you can't book accommodation. Lots of people in Perth, lots of providers in Perth don't accept the card or don't know what it is, and that obviously takes 3 days to get an approved provider on the list, and sometimes that can be too late. There's some petrol stations in Kalgoorlie not on the approved list. Apparently, people have been hoarding cash because they're really worried about an emergency situation coming up and not having enough money to pay for things. Garage sales and Gumtree and stuff like that, and Facebook, Kalgoorlie Buy and Sell and stuff, where people who are on welfare who have heaps of money want to buy cheap furniture and things like that, but they can't get it. Apparently there's heaps of sort of exchanging groceries and phone credit for cash, and people are trying to find ways around it to avoid, just because they need cash to eat for school swimming lessons, school lunches, stuff like that.
But that concerns when I sell for account, nobody gets told you can't pay for it because it's indicated in a service list. Whatever happens to the account, they don't get it anymore.
The exemptions are really hard to get. There's obviously a huge issue about, in general, of the privatisation of welfare, and there's a really big issue as well with people with small businesses who might be on care pensions or be caring for disabled kids that they can't manage their cash flow anymore because it's all, you never know when the payment's coming. Who knows? Was there anything else around group that?
There was one resolution that all card readings government instructed disability to avoid and to go on the card.
Yeah,
to use if you've got an intellectual disability. Another is that your 20% goes into your available on time. And sometimes at the end of the month when you're allowed to transfer it over, you can wait days before it transfers over. Another one is that people are not travelling because they're not confident that the card won't work at other places along the road. And if you're in Perth for medical treatment, what do you do if somebody doesn't take the card? You cannot buy soft drink at licensed premises. You can't buy firewood at the bottle shop because not all the terminals at licensed premises will take a card, and it's profoundly embarrassing when a card is declined. One person's been followed in Coles to prevent her from buying a gift card, but there are double standards running. Some people get to buy gift cards and some people don't, and it means that you can't genuinely buy a gift card to give to somebody as a gift. You can't pay council rates on this card. You have to set up centre pay for that. The pressures people are feeling on their families are the stigmatisation of people who are on it, and kids who feel embarrassed every time that their card has to be brought out to pay for a food bill or whatever. People feel like they're on it for life, and that is a stigmatisation again. There's the anxiety about our data being collected, that they will know everything about you and your family by what you buy and where you use your card. People have struggled to send school lunch money to buy school lunches. The 20% that you get in cash is not enough. You can't use the card at community fairs and garage sales or to buy second-hand goods from Facebook sites and so on, where you might be trying to save money by buying second-hand goods because you need cash for those purchases. There is no local committee set up for people to ask to get off the card. You have to go to the indue office and they decide. Some people have been told 3 times no, there's nothing we can do, you can't change. People have had trouble with their rent payments not being set up in time by indue. They get breaches on their record and that stays forever. People have had their electricity cut off because indue and centre pay didn't set up properly. Nobody knows where that money went. There are long waits at Centrelink. There's a cop on the security on the door of the indue office. People feel intimidated having to go and ask ordinary questions about ordinary things they need to do. Sometimes at Centrelink they put you on the phone to over east and they don't know what's going on. You have to ring up and ask permission for ordinary bills to be paid. Quote, you shouldn't have to ask permission to pay your bills. When I went to pay my car insurance, they weren't on the approved list. I had to get them on the list. There were deadlines, missed payments. I was driving an uninsured car for 4 days. If you lose your card or it's stolen, it's too easy for someone else to ring the number on the back of the card, get your balance, taking your name in vain, change your PIN and use your card, and it costs $30 to replace the lost card. It doesn't cost anyone else anything to have their credit card replaced. There is another level of stigmatisation where somebody was told you're on that card because they made a small purchase on the card, they were still in the shop, they hadn't gone through the checkout yet. You're on that card, you're going to steal that much. That is total stigmatisation. I was in Toy World to pay off my kids' Christmas presents. The staff member was all smiles until they saw the card, then they shut down and were negative. Those are some of the responses that people have reported, and I hope I've got that accurately.
Being able to save, so if you have a bank account that has interest that you earn interest on, so you're trying to get it in life, you can't do that anymore because your money is quarantined on the indue card, it's stuck there, you can't transfer, you can't stay for a holiday, you can't, all those sorts of things. Also, privacy issues. For myself personally, I had to prove that I paid my portion of mortgage in cash, and I had to give my husband's bank statements over to indue to prove that I paid it. So his privacy is being, rorted because he's forced to deal with it because I'm on the card. So, we have to prove everything. It's like being interrogated. It's ridiculous.
A big one that was mentioned was also the phone service, people not getting back to them. I think there was someone in contact with them in April.
Yeah, we're not getting
and they were
back.
told 2 days, but they still haven't got back.
Yeah.
But why does everyone have to have a mobile phone? Does that mean they're creating a sideline business? But, you've got to buy a phone, you've got to buy buy a credit, you've got to buy a SIM card, there's a host business on the side. What's that?
So who's the debate coming from? Is it a debate from centrelink or?
I ran into when I first got the card to get off the card and said I didn't want it. I probably don't need it. And I ended up with a supervisor and he said I'll bring you back in 2 days with an outcome. That's whether I can get off it. I'm still waiting.
But how long have you had it?
And it took me 2 hours on the phone to get to here.
I have to say, Mickey, I reckon up, told all my mental health problems, everything I've got, and I don't meet their criteria. That's what I was told.
What is the criteria?
Nobody seems to know, except indue.
No, you've got to be rich.
So, what else did we have down there? We had some discussions around the
You picked on small businesses,
small businesses. Actually, that was quite interesting. That
because
a lot of small
anybody,
businesses don't
any
have
small
that.
business that hasn't got EPOS, you can't use your card.
Yeah.
So all the little small businesses in Kalgoorlie and Boulder are paying for it.
Yeah, Mr.
Yeah.
They're not getting, they're not getting their work.
shop local. Can't.
Alright, let's hear the rest of this report back.
But anybody that hasn't got EPOS, you can't help them. A lot of little businesses don't have EPOS.
Yeah.
So they're losing out, and if we don't look after them, they will have to close it.
Okay, so,
Alright,
some
hang
other
on.
key things.
You can't lie down.
You can. It seems that some people can. It came out now.
Yes, actually, that did come out now, but there seems to be, some people can get gift cards and some people can't. Which is a bit-
You aren't supposed to be able to buy gift cards, but they're yeah. Yeah. Because you can then use gift cards to buy alcohol.
So, having said, we'll
Hang on.
just finish here.
One of the things that was reported on last week on Tuesday was the police presence, Operation Fortitude. Now, Operation Fortitude started 3 months ago when the cashless debit card started to be rolled out. So we don't want the cashless debit card's working, but it's really the actual extra police presence in this town that is taking the crime, the abuse, everything down by 20%. It's not. Do not glorify the cashless debit card. That's not what's making this crime rate and everything down by 20%. It's actually the police presence of Operation Fortitude. So why don't they spend that $12,000 per person that every single person on this indue card is on, and give it to our police.
Fund our police.
Give it to our police force so they can get crime down and it's everything's card.
So, I think we mentioned a lot of stuff.
Trying to get loans.
Sorry, yeah, what's the line?
Hang on. Yeah, go on.
Actually made the card.
Speak up, Roman.
Actually made the card. Where's the card? Organisations run this country. The Governor General knows all about it. Come on, wake up.
Yeah.
We don't want this card and that's all to it. It just brought back Captain Cook's fucking days, okay? That's what it brought back. Brought back Captain Cook's days.
Another point.
The rest of the
We'll just keep this, everyone gets their say here, so please continue.
Another point that was brought up in our group, if you happen to be married and your husband or whatever seems to be working, we can't apply for loans now because that doesn't count as that money is quarantined on that income. So we can't refinance our mortgage or anything like that. Because I'm stuck on this thing,
Oh, so you
you
can't take that.
can't have income coming in because I'm on eviction. They do classify that as repayment
Yes.
when you apply for loans. I can't do it anymore. So yeah, my husband works full time, so that's stopped as well.
It's making people commit fraud because they're doing fraudulent things that they not normally do so they can get hold of cash. So they're turning us into criminals when we're not.
Yeah, we know.
You know?
Alright, so any more from that third group?
How did you feel being called a specimen, Mark? Remember on the front page?
Oh, I know. Yeah, and it is absolutely disgusting. And unfortunately, unfortunately, it's because of the uninformed people that are in this town. Do you know what I mean? Like, if they knew what this card really, really meant for businesses, that their information is given to indue once we put our cards in there and they accept the indue card. I've had a lot of businesses tell me, oh, we don't have to get audited, we can refuse the audit because we haven't signed a contract. But as soon as they accept that indue card, that's their signed thing saying, okay, yes, we accept it, and they can be audited at any time.
That's what my hand is saying.
So exactly, this card has got many, many meanings behind it and nobody knows about it.
Okay. Because you know for some of you it's embarrassing to tell your own personal story. So I certainly appreciate the fact that you made those comments. Is there anything that hasn't been reported that you want to tell us about?
And we'll take that in turns as well with questions. So I'll go to Tanya.
Oh, okay, sorry, I'll let Carl.
The medical stuff, the medical supplies. Yeah, so talking with Tanya, catheters and stuff like that, she's purchasing through her husband online, couldn't purchase anymore. And there was no consultation with that, it just ceased.
No PayPal.
So you've got animals and you need supplies for the animals via a transaction. There's a veterinary surgery opposite where I live. They gave me a site to visit to make it cheaper to go along. Once the card was produced, I'm sorry, it's not acceptable. It was just like a weight loss product that was in sharp tanks and lose weight. That wasn't acceptable. How many of these not acceptables do we have to meet criteria?
So that online purchases, we already know about the Woolworth situation, but there's a whole range of online purchases now which have now been
PayPal's closed.
See, how long before your stock is dead do you have to stay and stay? Right, I've got a 5,000 bloodstock merino put here is dead because it didn't get a particular brand of penicillin or something. There's your bloodstock.
That will go to Shane and then up the back one.
Yes, I want to raise social media. All you have to comments on social media about people on the card. You got to get that. It's a free speech forum. People something like and asking them. But where are our politicians and our local councillors and are there coming up and speaking up for people who don't use drugs, who aren't registered? Where are they coming and saying, hang on a second, not everyone's in that category. That's because they're on that card. They're on that card. But they are not defending the people on the card. They're just sitting back. And by sitting back, they're endorsing these comments that, everyone on this card, the bloodshed, the druggies, the alcoholics. And by they're not speaking up, they're endorsing these people.
Well,
I guess it's just...
so I'm an idea that my own personal, what I do on social media is I've been told quite a bit. So if people are rude or abusive to me, I block them. I don't engage in someone who puts a negative comment on my page because they're usually doing it to have an argument with me. So, if you feel I haven't defended you, I apologise, but I will not engage with that kind of crap on social media. I do in the Parliament. I've spoken out against the Cashless Debit Card in the Parliament. I've spoken against the CDP in the Parliament. I've spoken against a lot of things, so I will not engage on social media. So my apologies. I am representing to the best of my ability, but I don't engage with people on social media who can't engage with.
I watched your speech and I watched the other chap that came up and said that came up that lady got dismissed when she spoke about coming to Kalgoorlie and hearing what she heard. The Speaker of the House pretty much said next and dismissed her immediately. Do you feel as though you're being heard?
Yes, the way the Parliament operates is that the person chairing the meeting doesn't make a comment, so you get 10 minutes or 20 minutes to make a point, which is what Rachel said would have made when you sat down. So that's how the Parliament works. It's not
experience when you spoke.
Well, I made my point. It's on the public record.
You're going to do this, you're going to do that.
So
That's why you got sat down.
the question.
So you don't get sat down in the Parliament.
You stand up and you speak to the people, and you say, I will try to do this for you, I will try to do that, instead of saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, you might be better politician.
Well, if we were the government, they'd be able to change. It's up to that.
I just thought of a section here. It's only like, thought
I get personal loans and that. I had $10,000 in the bank, went to my bank and wanted a credit card of $1,500 because that credit card is not classed as an income. You want to see the crap I had to go through to get that, just to get personal credit card.
So can I ask, before the welfare card, had you applied for a loan?
I went and applied for a $10,000 loan bank.
Okay.
Offered credit before, now I don't get offered credit.
That gets that because it's not classed as an
So
income.
there's a change on perception of it not being an income now rather than
Yeah.
prior it was an income.
Yeah.
It's not a fiscal bonus to them, we're a fiscal liability. And as furthermore, we're also a fiscal liability to service providers, e.g. small service providers like mechanics, for example, or crash repairers, for example. I just went to pay the crash repair with my indue card, payment on my, what do they call it, your excess. I went to pay $550, it knocked that back, but it took $200. So when I did it in increments of $200, then I got a phone call asking me whether or not I was actually paying that towards a transaction on my closed doors, or was it in fact going to the excess? I said, excuse me, there's proof. The car smash is the Shannon's insurance excess number. Would you like to speak to the owner of the business? Now the owner of the business, not mentioning any names, spoke up because he can and he will and he did. And he said, this is a small business, we choose to have this FPOS only for certain things. Now, this young person's come in and paid cash for her car. Generally, she pays cash on the knocker. It's taken her 6 weeks to pay us what would normally take her 2 weeks to pay. She's taken 6 weeks to pay. Now, that was today. Now, that was very frustrating because it took me 6 weeks to pay something. My car's been in a shopping estate for 6 weeks, all because of a bloody injury card and having a big.
And also you've got questions about how you spend
Whether the money was actually going to Shannon's insurance or going into the coffers of the small businessman. Now, turn around and there's a hotel down the road here called Flanagan's, and they have a back door. This back door is now open for them to do trade. You go in there with the indue card, we'll sell you a $50 bottle of wine that's normally $5, and we'll give you $100 cash if the boss says yes or no. Now that's bullshit, mate. That can happen. Why can that happen? You can see lines of Indigenous people going backwards and forwards and getting their warm up. That is it. We go in there and ask for it. They say, no, you're not. So you don't do that. No. I said, hey, mate, you can give it them, but you can't give it to us. What's the story? Well, you're liable to go over to Centrelink and tell them what I'm doing. I said, you're dead bloody right, I will, mate. Because why is it my autistic child has just told me, Nana, why are you not giving me any money anymore? What have I done to hurt you? Nana, you don't love me anymore. Excuse me, darling, I do love you. It's just that I can't send you money anymore. So I sent her the money I had to go without. That $180 a fortnight, $110 of which goes to Bupa. The rest of it I send to my grandkids. Now what do I live on? I live on that bloody injury card if they allow it to happen. And if they don't, what if you're in credit with all your other bills and you need to buy certain things? Right, well, medical needs for autistic children and their way of livestock. If you disrupt one part of that, I'm sure there are parents in this room that have special needs children that will stick their hand up and say, what sort of an abrupt standstill their family has come to, and the arguments that proceed from the disruption of one instance, one small thing.
I've heard from Sarah Perkin Hall, but what is the actual standard on Australian Labor Party?
So,
Bill Shorten has said he will deal with that.
So what we've said is we're opposed to the rollout of the trial in the goldfields. We're opposing the rollout of the card in any other places
From now on.
across Australia. You might have seen recently the government wants to roll the card, well that's for people under 36. So what Labor wants to see is a proper evaluation of the trials at Kununurra and
What are they doing in small towns?
and then
Why are they doing it in big
make an
cities?
evaluation.
We are a
He
city.
hasn't,
Yes.
We are classified as a city.
So effectively they oppose the trial.
So we said we want to see a proper evaluation before we take any further decision, but we won't support any further rollouts. But we are not the problem. The problem is Pauline Hanson and the other minor parties in the Senate. If Pauline Hanson we voted for the card, he would have.
Oh, that whole record.
Did she?
No, I hate it, yes.
you're saying it's all enhancement. The bloke that got the
It's not
car,
a benefit.
Stephen, the bloke that pushed the car in the night was John Bowler.
Yeah.
He was the that pushed the bloke in. He's been a people's man for many, many years. Now he's become a people's enemy. Because he's the one that pushed the car. He's the one that cries all the time and says, you know, when there's something happening in the Gold. He's the one that cries all the bloody time. He was a people's man many years ago, but now
Never
he's
been
a
a people's man.
he's an enemy.
Never has.
Okay.
Never has. It's been
I think we're getting towards the centre stuff. It's a
Just
question.
saying, this man here can become probably not the man. You can't be the people's man, because when you become the people's man, you do something for them once and you don't do anything else, and then the people say, "Oh, stuff him." John Howard did that.
Yeah.
All the prime ministers have done it. So we hope this man here can not be a gunner. He's going to be a doer. He can only say, "I can try with this. I can try with that."
Because
So
the
he's
state
gonna go-
department.
Just be clear, it's a federal issue.
It's a federal
And we're
issue.
just letting the community issues
I'm
go.
obviously close to the community in Kalgoorlie, which is why Ancola opposes the card, as does state Labor, but they are powerless to do anything because this is a federal issue. It
Why
needs,
don't you guys try that yourselves?
well, I'm opposed to the card.
Why don't you actually go on it for a month?
Yeah.
For a
Well,
month?
because I'm not on a pension, I understand from all of you here the issues that you're facing, and also, you know, I'm one of the people who oppose the law.
So why did you oppose the card?
Pardon?
When you opposed the card, why didn't you sort of make it to where people could be taken into centrelink by this lady?
I didn't propose the card. I'm not
And they could actually
government.
sit there and they could be actually assessed. Centrelink can ask them what they do with their money. And those people are telling us that you opposed the card, so therefore you wanted the card and people had no money. So
I'm not the government.
She voted against the card.
I'm not in the government, I voted against the card. I'm in the opposition. So we didn't introduce this card.
So who was the public?
No, it was
Federal government. Just got a question over
It's
here.
Rick Wilson who introduced the card. And he's just.
So got a question over here.
My name's Tugger. G'day everyone. You don't have to be opposed to this card, promoting this card to oppose the morality of it. Now, just touching on what Shane said and what Chuck there in front of you said. This council here pushed hard and fast for this card. The very people that you elected to represent your best interests, the very people you are paying a wage to represent your best interests. This card represents fascism. I'm sure many of us here have forebears that fought against fascism in previous wars. Now we're fighting it again.
Yep.
And this is what this council has pushed upon us now. This council has oppressed all those people, the entire community, in fact. It's going right around the community. The council are oppressing the very people that are paying their wages. They're supposed to look after their best interests. That's just something you really should think about.
But it's
Because
people like.
without the council supporting it, many other councils throughout the state have said, no, go away. You know, we're elected to represent our people. Not this council. They're representing private companies and not you.
And I think what's bad about what the government is doing is it's now rolling the card out in a small community in Queensland to people under 36 years of age, where there's no proof, there's no evaluation, nothing. But that's what's happening. So we're seeing now different sorts of ways of rolling out the card, which is wrong. So
What formula do they use to fund that piece?
Well, in my view, what the federal government, what Malcolm Turnbull has done is really dishonest, because he has said to local councils, who don't deliver social services, you don't go to the council when you've got a problem and an issue, but he's taken councils and used them as the people in the middle to say yes and no cards when they're not delivering these services and they're not consulting with you. And that's one of the reasons that came out very clearly in the Senate inquiry in Kalgoorlie, is that none of the councils, and it's not just Kalgoorlie, it's all the ones through the gold fields, did not consult with ordinary folk who'd be caught up on the card about what their views were. So they're also, yes, they should have said that and they should have done better consultation, and I'm very critical of John Fowler for not consulting.
They were deceitful.
But they're also being used, and they should say to the federal government, where are the services that we provide, and I hope that they're listening to the sorts of issues that have come out today, because it's appalling.
So I'll just go to here.
Okay, I'm not sure that I speak for everybody, but I speak for myself. But if I could get a job, I would.
Yeah.
I would not be on this pension if I needed it physically for reasons, but I'm not going to pay for that.
Yeah.
So, to actually punish us twice, because you had to rock up at centrelink and get on it in the first place and go through their hoops, which are mighty, and then to now have this put upon us when it's not necessary. We were coping fine. As I said to Kyle, I applied for a loan 2 years ago on the pension, and the bank did all the thing, and the message that came back to me from the bank was that my husband and I earned $200 each, not enough to be on the basic living that the bank expects people to be on, to be able to manage and pay a loan back. So this $12,000 per person that this government is spending to manage this system that you've imposed on us should be given to us to at least make our lives a little easier. I don't buy expensive clothes. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I am not a drug addict. The only drugs I take are what doctors give me for my health problems. To tar me with that brush after having worked most of my life until I got unwell is just not right. I've been working since I was 16, and during my working life, I had 5 years off in my working life. 3.5 years of that time was to look after my newborn children. The other 2 years was I went back to high school, to year 11 and 12, so that I could get a better job, because the job I had before that was cleaning toilets, and I didn't think that was a career path for the rest of my life. So I went back to school so that I could educate myself to get a better job. The highest paying job I ever held paid me $48,000 a year. Whoop-de bloody do. That is just a basic wage. So I have never ever earned enough in my life to have a big superannuation policy, because super came in too late. So now I'm on this system, which is depressing enough as it is when you do suffer from depression. Now you are making it worse by putting this on this card.
Might as well top yourself and get over double bloody. It's like you're waiting to die.
Exactly. And if you're going to spend excessive amounts of money, in fact, that we thought, you're changing the rules all the time, that we thought would cover us. Okay? I can't get a seniors card until the end of the year because you've moved the goalposts. I can't. Well, they've moved the goal. The government has moved the goalposts. I can't get on an age pension now until I'm 66 and a half. My husband was very fortunate that his birthday was the 28th of June and he turned 65. So he didn't have to be on this card. He transitioned to the age card.
So you're telling me
So
you
now-
have a song and dance to tell people your private business.
Yes, exactly.
And if you don't put on that proper song and dance,
So-
you don't get not acknowledgement for your
The other thing
situation.
that's happened to us, we've been married 43 years. I've been married since I was 18. So I've been married 43 years. And now my pension is separate to my husband's. Now because I'm like this, he does all the shopping. So now he's got to say to me, how much have you got on that card? He's got to work out how much he's got in his bank card. So we're now two separate people. So I told the indue man that I saw when I signed up, I said, if you're going to treat us like two separate people, has 2 single pensions.
Yes.
Because you have divided what we've kept as a couple for 43 years.
There is a reason that we treat people as individuals, because there will be some people in this room, but there are many women particularly. If there was one joint pension, they wouldn't get anything and they wouldn't be able to leave abusive situations. So that's the reason.
I also asked him, I said, I thought Australia was a democratic society. It's not.
Well, it's
not
against
a democracy.
Yeah,
We are not
against
democratic. When
people.
you were going to put the put upon already in a more serious put upon position,
Yes.
you are making us. All of us in this room feel low individuals in society because we are collecting that money from the pension. This is making us feel like nothing, like we don't belong in this society.
And what made it even worse, you get people like Joe Hoffman when he was in, and Scott Morrison saying the age of entitlement is over. The only people getting entitlements are sitting in bloody Parliament House.
Yeah.
So, I've got a question over to you.
I want to say, what I thought the card was a bad idea before it started. What I've heard today makes me even more convinced that it's a bad thing. The reality behind the card going here rather than the western suburbs of Perth is a dog whistle around racism. There is no question about that. And even though many of the people here today who are telling stories that need to be heard are not Aboriginal people, the level of anxiety, the lack of ability to articulate the problems, the need to spend extra time dealing with all the administrative stuff is higher and higher for them. So there's the racism dog whistle, which runs through the ordinary community, it runs through the city council, and runs through large chunks of state parliament and indeed federal parliament. There's no question in my mind, and that is not good enough for modern Australia. In NAIDOC week, we need to say there's so much to celebrate, and Aboriginal people do not need to be penalised for their current situation. The other reality is that what this system is doing is micromanaging the poor.
Yes.
Yes. And the micromanagement of the poor is a total waste of everybody's resources. And it also creates another reason for the people who are not as poor to look down on the welfare recipients. Because they're taking all these resources, they have to, we have to have security guards outside the office, we have to have more staff settling. These people work. So there's a whole lot of reasons why we're actually increasing the problem by increasing the levels of compliance, the number of questions that have to be asked, and we're actually taking degrees of ordinary human freedom. And a government that cares about consumers' rights and people being able to freely choose what they want to do, they've actually constrained the ordinary everyday choices of a lot of people who no longer can go where they want to go, can't buy what they want to buy, can't do what they need to do because of this administrative system that has targeted them and no one else and is restricting their ordinary life and making it miserable when actually, as a society, we want to make people's lives better who can't work or who are physically disabled or who have an intellectual disability or who are living with intergenerational poverty and dispossession. We want to make their lives better so that they can be valuable members of the community. They can shop anywhere they like. And there's a tiny number of people in every society who are damaged and damaging. But what we have with this card is the penalisation, the stigmatisation and the victimisation of everybody with the stupid idea that managing and micromanaging all of the people in this room is actually going to solve the problems of the extreme handful who do need intervention. This is not the intervention.
My understanding of all of this is, first of all, it's a restriction of trade. You cannot go where you want, where you need to go. Secondly, Australian government for a long time have been running this system where they punish the innocent instead of taking care of the guilty. Now they've got a minority of people who do abuse the system, and what they're trying to do is include us all in that, and that's transforming the effect on the majority of the people, rather than minimising it to those people who really need to be taken in hand. So why don't they take the task in hand instead of expecting the rest of us to experience that burden and do something about it? I mean, every time somebody does something wrong in Australia, they turn around and say, oh, well, that person shot that person, let's take the gun rules off of everybody else. That person speeds too much, let's increase reduce the speed limit so we can enforce it more. Let's change the drinking laws so that we can get more control. And it's always the innocent parties, because most of us do not do those things.
That's right.
So,
Can't afford to.
I know.